Let's play a clip of Zohran from this same rally. It was a packed house. What was the name of it again? It's like the United Palace. And it's a beautiful venue. I'd never been there. I mean, it's amazing. It was absolutely packed. They had to keep people away. It was largely like people working on the campaign. At one point, they had that comedian who's funny. It was Gianmarco.
Yes, sorry, I can't say his
follow
last
him on Twitter, but
yes,
he
he's
emceed.
great.
He emceed, and he asked, like, how many people out here have, canvassed? He was doing it like, 2 times or 5 times. Was it he?
No, that was the guy from the Bodega Boys.
Oh, the guy from the Bodega Boys. And he was asking, and like everybody in there had like canvas, and there was, I don't know, at least 1,000 people in there.
He was his intention was to like build.
But everybody had, so many people had canvassed multiple times. We talked to a 15 and 16-year-old who were canvassing, just incredibly impressive people. I spoke to a guy who was, I think, in his 70s. It was just really, really impressive group of people last night.
Can we just put this one up just because I loved this person who Emma Fitzsimmons of the New York Times interviewed this one guy. His name is Tulashi Chitrakar. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, but he's a first-time voter. He left work early to come to Mamdani's rally. He works in IT and is from an immigrant family from Nepal. And the quote is, "It should not be a city of millionaires and billionaires. It should be for all." This is how, that's what, if you just scroll up slightly, that's what the quote that he gave. Thanks, Brian. This is what actual messaging in a campaign that is unafraid of kowtowing to the wealthy sounds like. And I don't want to hear another word from some New York Times opinion editor or national pundit who cites zero statistics about how Mamdani is being buoyed basically by commies in Williamsburg. I mean, this is a movement that is cross-racial, cross-class, and is one of the most impressive movements I've seen politically in my lifetime.
When Zohran came backstage, the union guys were like, "We really appreciate what you're saying about the Live Nation monopoly."
I mean,
he's
amazing.
reaching every corner.
Because he's also not talking down to voters. He has an explainer about everything. LGBTQ issues, things like Live Nation, bringing Lena Khan out there and intersecting his politics with her. It's really nice to see, too, that the campaign is because it's so dedicated to actually trying to get into power and change things for people, that they're being open to a variety of different Democrats to buy in and welcoming them into the campaign in a way that, I think we've really evolved past 2016, where there was a lot of defensiveness by Bernie people that I think was off-putting in many ways to traditional Democratic voters, where now it's more solidarity and openness. And I'm not saying that New York City is the whole country, but I think that also the voting base broadly is more open to this kind of argument.
And I think it's setting a tone without a doubt. We should say, before we play this clip from Mamdani, that if you're not aware of what Letitia James was indicted for, it was in her purchase of a second home. I think this one was in Maryland, maybe, or...
I know one was Georgia, but I don't...
Oh, maybe it was in Georgia.
Was that Lisa Cook in Georgia?
And
yeah.
The point being, she bought a second home. On the second home rider that was attached to the mortgage, she had to certify that she was going to use the property as a secondary residence, as opposed to a rental, like an Airbnb or whatever, vacation rental to rent out to other people. She ended up, I guess, having her grand niece live there. Essentially rent-free. I don't know what the circumstance of that. Her grandniece needed that home or whatnot. She is charged. The damages from this were approximately $19,000, a little bit less than $19,000 over the course of a 30-year mortgage that rioter supposedly saved her. That is what they are indicting her for.
Trump saying 30 years in prison.
I mean,
it was Norfolk, Virginia, and Brooklyn.
Norfolk, Virginia. And the idea that Andrew Cuomo cannot say that this is a this is retribution. This is a bastardization of the justice system. The idea that Andrew Cuomo, the scandal-ridden, disgraced former governor, if that bar was applied, that filter applied to Andrew Cuomo's dealings.
Oh my God.
I suspect Andrew Cuomo, I have no specific evidence of this other than that he closed down the Moreland Commission, which was set up to look at political corruption. And when they started looking at his office, he shut it down very quickly. I suspect that Andrew Cuomo would be at Rikers himself.
Let alone Donald Trump. And like just like this is when we're talking about we got some like comments on that Jamal Bowman reaction to Ezra Klein and how he like repeatedly would just say like we shouldn't think he said that thing about let's not zoom out too far about history. And I saw this comment like this is what being black in America is like. I mean, I'd imagine it's also somewhat like this where like she does everything right. She's at the top of her field. And they're going to pick anything that they can find in her history related to her assets to prosecute her. Where the like Trump and Andrew Cuomo and these rich white men that have been like sexual pests and predators and horrible to people get away with everything over and over again because the people in power are not motivated to go after them. Like that is what and any Democrat any candidate who isn't a far right fascist should be able to make that case easily.
Do you think Letitia James could spend $60 million of New York state tax money to defend herself and get away with it the way that Andrew Cuomo has? Absolutely not.
Do you want to play Zohran?
Yeah. Let's play this clip from Zohran Mamdani. This took place at the United Palace. It was a packed house. Super producer Matt Leck and producer Brian Buck.
Brian just quietly
we're in charge of the streaming for everybody. We're in charge of the streaming for everybody, and did an amazing job. The both of them. I can tell you that we were approached by the Mamdani people to do the streaming, and it seemed like a much more straightforward situation. Brian maneuvered through the whole thing and did a great job. Everybody who got video out of there got that because Brian and Matt were sitting at a massive streaming console and figured it out in just a matter of hours.
Because they say that we pose an existential threat. And I am here to admit something. They are right.
Sharia law.
We are an existential threat to billionaires who think their money can buy our democracy. We are an existential threat to a broken status quo that buries the voices of working people beneath corporations. And we are an existential threat to a New York where a hard day's work isn't enough to earn you a good night's rest. And we are absolutely an existential threat to disgraced politicians like Andrew Cuomo, who diminish public trust, harass women, and are unabashed in their desperation to collaborate with Donald Trump and his donors.
that that construction is very much, I think, echoes a lot of like what the way FDR ran. Was, you know, they hate me, I welcome their hatred. They see us as a threat, and they are right. We are coming for them. I don't think that's a mistake. I also have to say, like, over the course of that speech, we were in the control room, we were watching this, and I would encourage people to listen to the entire speech, because there's been many times where I've listened to old speeches in the past, like, you know, from like the 60s, early 70s, even in the 50s. And the language, and prior to that, is so much more elevated than it has become, at least in the past 20 or 30 years, or 40 years. Just the language, the concepts that you hear politicians generally sort of use in their addresses, whether on a municipal level or state level, is just much more sort of pedestrian. This, he is speaking to his audience and to the voters as if they
like
are
adults.
And intelligent and can figure it out and understand what's going on. So it's both like very honest and straightforward, but also like respectful and assuming the most out of his voters.
It's almost, and not to pull a JD Vance on Zelensky's outfit, but he's always in a suit and tie. He's not like trying to dress like a, you know, hey kids, whatever, although Mamdani is 33. But he's respectful of the people and being their representative. I mean, even in how he goes to every event, rain or shine, he's always showing up in person, as opposed to Cuomo doing AI generated videos and ballroom like PowerPoints. Like, he's respectful of the people. It's respectful of the community to be like that kind of representative. I mean, I know he borrows from Ed Koch in that way too. But yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah, he's an incredibly impressive politician.
Yeah.
Turns out people can handle it, can handle being treated like adults.
And I will tell you, just in, you know, the conversations that I had last night with folks, they are very aware of the challenges that he's going to face as mayor. They are, you know, preparing to hit the ground running, because they know, and I think this came up in our conversation with Jamal Bowman, that there is a window where Kathy Hochul will be her most responsive. Mm-hmm. And that is when she is facing a challenge, a primary challenge from the left in the form of Delgado.
Delgado, yeah.
And Hochul is actually just announced that she's making an appearance with Mamdani, I think in the next day or two, in Queens.
She knows.
At a political rally. I mean, I don't get the sense that she's the sharpest political mind out there, but, you know, you don't need to be highly sensitive weather vane to know which way the wind is blowing in this race. Yeah.
And he needs her. The fact that he has this leverage over her is enormously important, because if I saw some talk about like we should move the mayoral race to on year, like to 2020. No, I love this. It gives him so much more leverage over her in budget talks, because he needs Albany's buy-in if he's going to do what he needs to do.
Yep.
And it's also helpful too that DSA has been so well organized in the state, and that there's not just, you know, city council members, but state senators and representatives that are a part of that coalition that can fight that fight for him up north.
Off-year elections favor those who can organize on the ground
100%.
more.
Yep.
They just simply do, which, you know, is not always helpful, but in this instance, it definitely is. And for the most part, in terms of like the type of politics that I think end up espousing the policy sets that we like, and from an ideological perspective, it is a benefit because it diminishes the importance of money in the sense that, like, you can spend in an off-year election, you can spend millions and millions and millions of telling people that there's an election, but if they're not keyed into it on every, channel because the presidential, candidate is going on Rogan or going on The View or whatever it is. So you will be able to do early voting starting in, is it 2 weeks or is it on the 28th, October 28th in New York City? Well,
the 25th,
really, New York State.
The 25th it begins.
You could do any early voting in New York State, October 25th. So,
which is a Saturday.
And you can also get your ballot absentee by, going onto the website and having it come in. Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.